What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with a little bit of Destiny 2 commentary. And today we're going to be going over the topic that seems to be creeping up lately. Is Destiny 2 going to be too PvP centric? There's a lot of indications so far from Bungie and from initial gameplay in the beta that they are really focusing primarily on PvP with this game for some reason. Perhaps it's because most of their YouTubers and streamers focus on PvP and they don't care that much about the PvE side of the game. But there's a very large contingent of us who really were looking forward to the PvE in Destiny, only to be kind of let down by the lack of narrative and story and character development and other things. And some of us were kind of hoping that Destiny 2 might deliver this, and from their promises so far, Bungie had been talking about how much better the story was going to be, you know, this whole rich cinematic experience crap that they said in the original game as well. But we're seeing a lot of things with the beta, and also some of Bungie's comments talking about how they're making adjustments to the game that make it appear that it's going to be mostly a PvP-based game. As many of you, if you played the beta, you know that the abilities charge really slow, especially in PvE. It takes forever to get your grenades up, your supers up, your special melees and all that. And that was kind of annoying, especially playing through the PvE parts of the game. Now, I do enjoy it for PvP because, as many of you know, I was not a huge fan of the Crucible in Destiny. Mainly because there's so much ability spam, and you don't have to really have a lot of skill to do well at the game. When you can just keep spamming grenades and melees that one-hit kill and supers that give you free kills that everybody gets at least 3 of during a match. You know, it doesn't take a whole lot of skill to do well in the Crucible. And one of the things I did like about the Destiny 2 beta was that PvP seemed to go back more towards Bungie's Halo roots, where it was more reliant on gun skill and your ability to aim and actually get kills that way. They had definitely toned down the amount of grenade spam and the amount of ability spam, and it took you were lucky if you even got one super in a match, even if you were doing well. Now, I do admit they probably need to tweak that a little bit. I think, you know, PvP could be a little bit more fun if you did have your grenades up a little bit more often, but it doesn't need to be like Destiny where everybody could just spam all these abilities. I was reminded of this last week when, kind of for sentimental reasons, I played the last Iron Banner of Destiny and was reminded of why I hated the Crucible so much, because all it was people just chucking lightning grenades everywhere and you know, using exotics to get more grenade spam and melee spam, and it was just really annoying. It's hard to get a good gunfight with anybody. But the PvP in Destiny 2, you know, the maps were a little too small and you just keep running into team fights. So again, even though it's more gun skill related, it is kind of hard to have a lot of one-on-one gunfights. But hopefully that's something they will tweak. But they made an interesting comment in their weekly update where they were talking about the sandbox design for Destiny 2. And they mentioned that a lot of people were complaining that your abilities take too long to recharge in Destiny 2. And they mentioned that they are going to tweak that a little bit, but that they also want your abilities to feel rare and to be rare, so that it feels more cool when you use them, which makes zero sense to me at all. And rare, what's the definition of rare for Bungie? I mean, if they said they're going to tweak it a little bit, what does that mean? You're going to get one grenade every 5 minutes now, one super every 5 minutes now, instead of the 10 minutes it took for it to charge when you were originally playing the game. And what this highlights to me is another problem that I think they didn't learn anything with the first Destiny game, and that's the fact that you cannot have PvP and PvE be together. And that's one of the big issues they had with the first game, was they essentially tied it all in together. All the weapons, the weapon balance for PvP affected the weapon balance for PvE. The supers, the abilities in PvE affected PvP. And there's a reason that most of the successful PvP games, or even similar games to Destiny, even though Destiny is not an MMO, most of the MMO games have a completely separate side for PvP. Even if you look at a game like The Division, they had one set of gear for the PvE side of things, they have another set of gear for the Dark Zone, for the PvP side of things. World of Warcraft, you have PvP gear, you have PvE gear. Star Wars The Old Republic, same thing. You have special PvP gear that you can earn by playing PvP and that you have to buy to be better at PvP. The PvE gear will work, but it's not going to be as effective as the PvP gear. And it really baffles me that Bungie didn't go this route. And it's really, I think, ruined a lot of Destiny for a lot of people, because you have a great weapon that you really love using in PvE, only to see it nerfed because too many people complain about it in the player versus player side of things. And even back in going to like Halo and Call of Duty and other first-person shooters, you have the weapons work one way when you're playing through the campaign or the regular part of the game, and then they have a separate set of weapons and loadouts for PvP that they can easily tune if something's not balanced properly. That was one of the cool things about Halo. You could just pick pre-selected loadouts. You didn't have to worry about something constantly being nerfed or adjusted because it was being used on the other side of the game. And if Bungie still hasn't learned this for Destiny 2, they're going to have a lot of problems, because the last year or so with Destiny, there was a lot of complaining about balance in the Crucible, a lot of complaining about balance in the game. A lot of people really unhappy how Bungie kept ruining their fun by making their PvE weapons feel so weak and powerless because they were too strong in PvP. A lot of weapons that got nerfed because of this. And if they haven't learned this for Destiny 2, Destiny 2 is probably going to be more of the same. And I can't believe they're either that stupid or they're that arrogant to think they can force it to work. It's just not going to work. Like I said, there's a reason that games that have a PvE and a PvP component have separate sets of gear for each. It makes it so much easier to balance. It makes it just better for the players in general, because the people who like to play PvE can still enjoy it and not have to worry about their favorite weapons being touched. And again, it just seems really, really stupid. I mean, this is Bungie we're talking about. This is not some small-time developer. This is a company that made a lot of really, really good games in the past. And for them to kind of miss out on this, I don't understand it. They should be a lot smarter than this. And I really, really hope that they are going to have separate sets of gear for both modes of the game. But I don't think that's going to happen, because in the beta you were able to use the same weapons and things that you got through PvE and PvP. And I think it's going to be more of the same that occurred with Destiny. And I think it's just a mistake on Bungie's part to do this. It's going to lead to a lot of grief. A lot of their players are not going to be very happy with this. And overall, it just seems so far that they care more about balancing the PvP side of things versus making the PvE side of things more fun for the players. That's the indication I'm seeing so far through everything we've seen through the beta, and also all the news coming out on Destiny 2 with regards to how everything is going to work with the Crucible. So, anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think. Are you kind of seeing the same thing, where this game seems to be focusing too much on PvP now, when really there's this huge, rich, supposedly lore-filled world around Destiny that is just begging to be explored and begging to be given a really good narrative experience? But I don't know if we're going to finally see that or not with Destiny 2. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you're getting kind of the same vibe from Destiny 2, because so far to me it just seems like they care way too much about PvP, which is really never a good way to go about things, especially when your game is supposedly so reliant on a campaign or a story to go with it. They're promising this big, rich, narrative, cinematic experience, and if you're going to focus on PvP, that's definitely not going to occur. Now, PvP will keep some of your gamers playing the game, but a game like Destiny that tries so hard and fails miserably at being an MMO, you really need the PvE side of thing to be strong as well, to hold your player base. I know a lot of people just do not enjoy playing PvP at all, and they're not going to stick around if their PvE stuff is constantly getting nerfed and adjusted because people are crying in the PvP side of the game. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks, as always, for watching, and I'll see you again next time.